Send a powerful message to those people who live in the past and tell them no more business as usual and no more repeat performances because we're going to make America great again.
Hey everyone, welcome once again to yet another episode of Two Noobs Talking. With me, of course, is my good buddy, and I think, certainly within this last week, has driven more miles than I have for sure within the last 3 years combined. Mr. John Tracy. John, how you doing, man? What's going on tonight?
Tired.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, my God.
But I'm home, back in the studio, ready to do this again.
You know, it would be great if we had like frequent driver miles. I mean, my God, it's like we had the frequent flyer. Where's the frequent driver miles? Seriously, where is that? Anyway,
Fun.
my name is of course, I'm Matt Craig. I'm here, safe and secure. Rainstorm here, but nice and comfortable here in KOP. Loving life, enjoying it. John, we've hit episode 47 of Two Noobs Talking.
Yes, sir.
It's amazing, right? Getting closer and closer to 50, but
yeah, we are. We're getting old.
I know. Well, we love what we're doing. Let's fire off some quick numbers. 47.
The one I came up with, 47. I don't remember the other two we were talking about, but I got to give an ode to my kid Evan because he used to wear 47 when he played Little League. And it always was the oddest thing ever, and I never knew when it would make any sense, and it made sense last night when I was like, I don't know anybody that ever wore 47.
That's nice. The one that came to my mind years ago, it was Greg Jackson, and I think he was a safety for the Eagles.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right around the Ray Rhodes time area. He was really good. He was a great.
It totally would make sense that Ray Rhodes would have a safety wearing 47.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Ray was a rare breed.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah. Kind of think if there was anything else that I can't even remember. I can think of.
My memory does not do 47 very well.
I know there have been a ton of them. I know for sure.
I'm sure there's like 90 pitchers we've missed already for the Phillies.
Exactly.
I can't remember anybody though. Nothing stands out.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Please comment, Steve. Work on us.
Please help. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll know we'll have a couple of 48s when we hit episode 48 next week. Absolutely. But
my favorite hockey player of all time that isn't Alexander Ovechkin. Let's just go there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll hit him up. We'll dap him up really nice. But Johnny, we got a lot of course on the table. I'm not going to do, the typical show rundowns we've done before in the past, but we're just going to leap right into this with our first topic. And, to be perfectly honest, it's on everyone's minds. The country of Afghanistan right now is currently
absolutely
in a state of chaos. I would love to get your thoughts really to open this whole thing. What were your initial reactions, thoughts of what the heck's going on over there?
I have 3 points to make, and none of them are ideological or I'm not trying to be smart. I'm not even trying to make sense. The 3 things I thought when this came out were like, oh shit, we don't have the leadership for this.
Yeah.
2, why is Afghanistan become political?
Mm-hmm.
And 3, who the hell who's ever played a video game or a board game that has military in it ever removes the military before the civilians?
Yeah.
It is a as numbskull dumb opinion as you can. I'm a Neanderthal compared to other people I've heard speak, but those were the 3 thoughts in my head.
Yeah. And of course, like I of course ran the gamut when I heard of what was happening last week. I was righteous indignation and anger towards the current commander-in-chief, the used car salesman, who apparently did a wonderful job selling the Yugo as a Porsche. We'll get into that a little bit further, but
absolutely. That was a great analogy.
Yeah, really, to me, it's like, it's definitely a failure on the administrative state side, and I don't care what whether or not we were supposed to go in or not, and nation build or not.
That's irrelevant.
That's irrelevant, exactly. I think the idea.
There we go. It's not the thing.
Yeah, this is a failure of really not allowing what I like to deem warrior generals to go in and defeat the enemy. And what I mean by warrior generals is think of people like Schwarzkopf, think of people like Petraeus, like we even have my dad. He's a warrior general. He goes in, they have one task to kill the enemy and break things. That I think is a great. I've heard that Rush Limbaugh said that years ago, and I completely agree. That's what the military does. They go in, they kill and break,
Yeah,
and then it's up
good job.
to the military and the government to build the country back up again.
It's not pretty. Like we're not
It's not.
we're not like happy dancing around what the military does. Whatever the military does is not. It's not nice and it's not pretty.
Yeah,
But sometimes it needs to be done.
yeah,
I'm very thankful that we lived, in a short period of time in my life where we weren't at war for 4 years.
yeah.
But it doesn't look like that's going to last too long, which is terribly offensive to, I think,
Yes.
all Americans, because we shouldn't like going to war.
No, there's always going to be wars and rumors of wars throughout, this entire world. Unfortunately, that's just the sad reality of all of this. But it's important to have a very strong military and capable leadership. And clearly, the people that are running in the Biden administration now, they are not qualified. I'm talking about Mark Milley for one.
Wow.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
to me is an administrative general.
When I heard him speak, no joke, I heard him speak. It was I don't even remember where I was, because I was away also this week, so I'm a little confused on where I was when it happened. But I was looking at it, and I remember like immediately going to your dad's Facebook page, just because I respect him as a military man, and also just I respect his opinion, and I knew that he was hot on this opinion because I had seen it before.
Oh yeah.
As I heard that man speak, and then I read a couple things that your dad had written, I was like, all right, he's not what I think a general is.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've got one over here. We're friends on Facebook. Like I got one over here that has a similar career to this man.
That
I
is
like
legit.
what your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like what Millie was saying at all. That just seemed seemed written. It's political.
Oh, 100%.
It did not seem military-ish at all.
At all. And unfortunately, like with any business or with any nonprofit organization, there are scoundrels. There are scoundrels that float in and around there, unfortunately, and will use whatever political machinations they want to get ahead. To me, Milley is one of those guys that basically is a eunuch general. He has no testicular fortitude to go in there with his troops and to win a battle. He has not demonstrated that to me. And yeah, I feel comfortable calling him out on this because, quite honestly, if you're in the military, you are volunteering yourself or your time, and you better have balls to defend the Constitution of the United States. That is your sworn, allegiance. As a military officer, you are to defend and protect the United States and the Constitution. And to be honest with you, when you're a military general, kind of moving around all over the place and instituting critical race theory and wokeness into the U.S. military, you're disqualified, pal. I'm sorry. You're out of there. I want my generals to be fighters, leaders, motivators, all that stuff. And to go into hell, win, and come back. That is their goal, ultimately.
And that's a very political statement.
It is.
The one thing that I just want to add to that, because that's the problem with the whole administrative state now and the whole thing with Afghanistan. It's entirely too political now. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I don't think I saw from Biden, or I saw from Milley, or I saw from anybody, whoever that, I can't even remember her name, Jen, whatever her name is. She answers questions.
Oh yeah, Psaki.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't. She's so irrelevant in my life. I can't even remember her name. Yeah. But she did say something the same as they did. They didn't take the time. To worry about the people that died. They were defending their decision.
Yeah.
They weren't. And here's a funny thing. On Instagram last night, on Hannity, what do you think runs past? Donald Trump takes, not the president, takes time out of his day to say something about it. And I'm like, why does Trump have to make these statements?
Yeah. And let's face it too.
And by the way, he did a really good job. I'll shit on the dude when I need to, but I'm not going to. Like what he said last night, I felt that's what a leader does.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I will say with him was the error that he did was negotiate with the Taliban. The Taliban to me is like they want to fight and they want to die on the battlefield, and to me that's like, okay.
Yeah, well that's their plight.
If that's what they want to do, fine.
But you don't negotiate with them.
But you don't negotiate with them. You don't and say, "Oh, I'm going to pull out in 4 years of Afghanistan." And, it's like you give Biden essentially a silver platter and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to announce the day when we're going to pull out. Are you kidding me? It's like that. I'm not so sure about that. I wanted to kind of throw this up and get your thoughts on this, Johnny. Why don't you go ahead and do a little screen share? Because this, I thought, was really, a great representation of what the situation was like in Afghanistan. This right here, for our audio listeners, is a declassified, I'm going to call it like spider web. It's not a flow chart. It's a spider web.
It's definitely a spider web. It makes sense, though. That's the crazy
Exactly. Part. It is essentially a map or a spider web of all of the different things that are going on in the dynamics within the country of Afghanistan. Everything from popular conditions and beliefs to the infrastructure and the economy to the central government to outside insurgencies and all that kind of stuff and narcotics and coalition domestic supports and all kinds of stuff. This is a world famous slide that was created, and again, like I said, it was declassified. It was presented at the time to General Stanley McChrystal. McChrystal was commander of the coalition forces in Afghanistan in 2015 during the Obama administration. He gets presented this slide. McChrystal wanted to know, like, okay, what do we do to have to win this war? He gets presented this slide. And he's like, wow, if I understand that, we're going to win the war. By the way, the guy who made this slide was fired right after the presentation. And he was fired because this is an absolute clusterfuck. It's just terrible. But it just goes to show you that you don't go in there thinking like, okay, I'm going to get this done in 20 years and move out. Unfortunately, it's a long, drawn-out process. And unfortunately, now we're leaving, and it's still in the sad shape that it's in, mostly because I think it has everything to do with the tribal factions that are there. There is no nationality that's there in Afghanistan, unfortunately.
It's a tribal place.
It is.
So you're not going to get one to agree with the other. Like, it's the same thing. Why are there so many in the history books? Why are there so many different Native Americans?
Yeah.
Like, because you're born in this place, you believe what you believe. You're not going to go and join somebody else that has different beliefs than you. You're going to stay in your own and you're going to fight for your own. And that's fine. Like, tribal living is okay in this world. It really is. Like, there probably should be more of it. There shouldn't be so many shopping malls and cheeseburgers.
But the thing is, though, Johnny, when you're trying to do a nation state, that's tough because their mindset is completely different. Again, you're thinking tribal. You're not thinking of consent of the governed, with the United States, what it's known for. You're trying to teach that kind of a Western way of thinking to a tribal-oriented culture, and
that's a little dangerous.
That is very dangerous, no question about it. Yeah, no doubt about that. And so that's politics or whatever, and I get that.
You should never force ideologies.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you're neighbor.
Really, the crux of this whole thing, the one that really got me PO'd was the president, and he is really being skewered over this. For just having no plan whatsoever on the withdrawal, no plan to keep the American interests safe from the Taliban.
People interest.
Yeah.
Black Hawk helicopters.
Among other things, yeah.
Here's my problem, and this has been my problem with Biden the whole time. He's still, okay, I get the election, right?
Yep.
I get it. I get the whole thing. We
Yep.
hate Trump. Trump's out. I
Yep.
get it. I'm not a defender at all.
No
But
mean
what I'm
tweets.
trying to say is this dude is more than 100 days in, and he still goes back to that.
Yeah.
That is unacceptable in every walk of life, job you'll ever have. This is down to the janitor, the brand new janitor you bring in to clean your facility, right?
Yep.
And you give him about the first 3 months blaming the ex-janitor because he's got to fix all this shit.
Yep.
Understand that. You're way over 100 days, bro.
Yeah. I think it's time to turn the page. You know?
It's not his problem at this point. It's yours.
Yeah, it's yours now. Yeah, exactly. And this not only is just his, and it rightly is his, it's his utter lack of understanding the not like basically going against the grain with what his national security team was saying. Like they're basically telling him, we can't pull out right now. If we do, they're going to roll right over the country.
Yeah.
His thought process was, what are you talking about? We have 300,000 Afghani soldiers against 75,000 Taliban. They should be fine. Wrong. Wrong. He didn't know what was happening on the ground, or refused to know what was happening on the ground, which I think is the latter. He refused to know what was happening. He just wanted to pull out.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just wanted to pull right out.
He wanted to look good for September 11th, 20th anniversary. He's all about the optics.
All about the optics.
He's
exactly.
always been all about the optics.
And not only that, Johnny, we're going to throw up this Atlantic article here. It was written by Peter Wagner, Biden's Long Trail of Betrayals. Now, I went over this with you in pre-production. Can you imagine, John? Let's just role play for a minute. You're in baseball. You're fortunate to play in a Major League Baseball team. You're on the Phillies or whatever.
I was never that good, but let's do it.
Well, let's do it, right? You're in an 0 for 40.
Yep.
Okay? You're grounding out. You're striking out. You're fouling off. You're not hitting the ball at all. You can't put the ball. If you put the ball in play, it's right at a fielder, right? So what are your thoughts? Like if you're in an 0 for 40 slump, like what's your initial mindset? How do you get out of that, right?
Well, any sports person would answer it the same way. You keep plugging. Like you take the positives out of it. If I'm hitting it back to the pitcher, I'm on it. If I'm, pulling it this way, I'm not on it. Like I'm late, I'm early. You're taking all the information. Baseball, hockey's the same way. Like,
oh yeah.
Why am I shooting high and wide? Oh, well, I'm kicking my leg out when I should be planting my leg while I'm taking the shot.
More of an inside stride.
Exactly. Like moving your hips better. Like
you kind of go back to the fundamentals of everything.
I understand what you're saying, but you have to go back to the fundamentals. You have to find better people. If he's being advised by shitty people, get better people.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you would think.
I think my president would make
after a while of being wrong for the last 40 years in every single major foreign policy decision that you have made, it would get through your thick skull that maybe once in a while, you know what, I gotta go with the majority here.
Yeah, that's what we think, but that's not the kind of guy Biden is.
No.
It's not.
And I made the analogy with you, I think, what was it, in pre-production this week? I said he is basically selling the American people a Yugo.
Yep.
We all know it's a Yugo, but he is selling a Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, no, this is a Porsche that goes 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. We look at it and say, no, this is a Yugo. Yeah. This is a Yugo that is worth crap. It's worth $17 maybe. Mm-hmm. And he's still trying to sell you on the Porsche. I mean, it's pathetic. It's just absolutely pathetic. And the glassy-eyed looks, Johnny, I don't know about you, but I'm seeing that more and more with him. Every single time. I hate to make it political, but I'm noticing where it's just like, this guy's got to get out of here. I mean, seriously.
There's a CNN was just running an article before we even started that said that they just found out that there was some brain trauma and slight aneurysms with him in the past. Like he hid them from people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good look. For a man that's all about optics, I'm gonna say that, not pride or anything good.
Yeah.
I don't think in it. Like, yes, he's a feeble old man, and yes, we should.
And he's a chicken shit and a coward. But yeah,
He always has been.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just not. It's not a good look for the country. It's not a good look. This is just about, if you want to be optics like Biden, this isn't a good look.
this is not a good look. Yeah,
Like, look, because maybe you should let real military people, and maybe let a real general, because that dude's not a real general. I don't even know why he picked him. He picked some of the sorriest
yeah,
stacks of shit to be in his that are even around Washington. Like,
yeah,
you took, like, even Pelosi said it was a swamp,
yeah.
and he picked the swamp of the swamp.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about that. I mean, when you even have, to your point, what you were saying, I thought it was brilliant with CNN. They're running articles now, basically like Joe Biden is facing a crisis of competence from CNN.
Yeah, CNN's running this.
CNN is writing this. I mean,
Bizarre.
this is
Like,
seriously, right? I mean,
bizarre.
it's like,
No, that's all. I think that's the last thing I have to say about Biden, and I think I want to move on to the next thing.
yeah,
The whole thing's just bizarre.
yeah, it really is. Yeah, and I mean, really, my whole thing to wrap this whole thing up would be like, if you're the Republican Party, and again, I hate to make it political, but if
Impeach
you
him.
cannot take advantage of this opportunity in 2022, shame on you. Shame on you. I mean,
And for the people that don't understand politics, the Taliban was flying a Black Hawk helicopter on TV
yeah,
that Joe Biden left there.
yeah,
That's treason.
yeah,
It's petty ass treason, but it's treason.
but it's treason nonetheless. Yeah,
So it like we said, we don't want to make it political, but the Republican Party, it's right there. It's as
Silver
petty
platter,
as
you
what they nailed Trump for on the way out when he wasn't even president.
mm-hmm.
If we're gonna have political blah, we might as well have political blah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's they literally got in and they flew it. Treason.
Yeah,
They
and
left
to be honest,
knowingly
it's like,
left it there.
yeah, and to be honest, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call for I don't know if I would call for impeachment. I think it's very. I've heard that argument before, and I'm thinking
They should.
could it be possible? Yeah. To me, it's like, get him out of office, like in 2020. That House and Senate have to flip back red.
There's
really do,
three
John.
ways. There's three ways to do it, because there's Article 2, Section 4 that you could remove the entire administration because of treason.
There you go.
There's an impeachment, and then there's just the good old
Yeah.
25th Amendment that he's not capable of being a president. There's your three options.
There's your three
know what
options.
they are. The American people have plenty of options. This isn't like a sad. You can't be sad about it. There's plenty of ways to get this dude out of office, because the Constitution makes it that way. And I just gave you the three that they could do.
Exactly.
Depends on what they want. If you want to move the home administration, you go one way. If you want to just impeach him, you go that way. If you want to just remove him because of mental company and you think the administration works, I would disagree with you, but you could totally do that.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Well, let's move on to topic 2 here. And we got another one of our fabulous, fantastic Fab 5 updates, John.
Put this up on the screen so I can laugh. For about an hour. Oh,
Well,
my God.
Number
This is the
one,
best
I
news
love
I ever
this
heard.
because he never should have had it in the first place. Cuomo stripped of Emmy. He won for COVID-19 briefings. How about that, John? Forbes article here
Oh, my God.
by
So he's
Jemima
not even
McAvoy.
liked. He's not even liked by the television and film community. But he was lauded at first, being how great he was. But they stripped it. They don't even like him.
No.
How the mighty is fallen.
How the mighty have indeed fallen.
Oh man, come on.
Loser. Loser. I cannot believe it.
You're great.
That-
Thank you for just giving me stuff to talk about. This is great.
It's wonderful. It's absolutely fantastic. Here's a great quote here from Bruce Paisner, who's the CEO and president of the International Academy of the Television Arts and Sciences, John.
Can I just call that dude out for being a scumbag for having that title?
Quote, this is the crucial quote for the article. Quote, the governor's 111 daily briefings work so well because he effectively created television shows with characters, plot lines, and stories of success and failure. Perhaps around the world tuned in to people around the world tuned in to find out what was going on, and New York Tough became a symbol of determination to fight back. Yeah, too bad they also had an additional 12,000 deaths, right? I mean, why don't we just jump right into that? We have a brand new
Next article.
brand new New York governor, Kathy Hochul, who apparently is basically trying to make New York more accountable. Might want to tell the American Academy of International Academy of Arts and Sciences this.
She's got to fight them. She's
John.
got to fight De Blasio, and that's a crazy because he's a nutcase.
Oh yeah, Blasio was even jumping up and down, cheering the fact that Cuomo was chucked out of office. But John, did you know that Governor, what's her face, Kathy Hochul, basically found
I still don't know her name. That's how quick this happened.
I know, exactly. Basically found another 12,000 deaths. Hey, looky here. Wow.
They were the ones that the Biden administration found that Cuomo said no to.
Look at what I found, John. Another 12,000 dead.
Yep.
Good grief.
Yep. Cuomo's a genius. This is a PBS article.
Yeah.
Pretty good. You can find it. It's also an AP article. Everybody's covering this one. This is crazy. She did it on her first day in office. Good on her for doing what she's supposed to do. Be a governor.
Yeah,
fix the health department.
Yeah,
move people around. Get these idiots out and get real people in, so we can get real data, so we know what's going on. Because the one thing we talk about all the time is it's not about COVID, it's about the corruption behind it.
Behind it, exactly.
So this is a fix.
What's amazing here in this AP News article, it's not the PBS one, I haven't checked that, but in the AP one, it said it's basically the additional 12,000 deaths raised it up to 55,400 New Yorkers that unfortunately have passed. That's up from 43,400 that Cuomo reported to the Republic on the last day he left in office. So he was still lying even out the door, John.
Right out the door. Yeah, and that's what I think that was the key clip why we picked that article.
Yeah.
Why we picked these articles, because that just shows. I like to cash receipts, and I know people who listen to us, they all think Cuomo's a scumbag. I just wanted to cash that on the last because he's that much of a scumbag. He's even caught, resigns, and he's still lying on the way out.
It's just amazing. What a scumbag. What an absolute scumbag. I wonder, though, if more stories, and I would hope that the women that have been sexually assaulted by him do get their day in court.
Oh, yeah, he's not done. He's not done with... He's going to be tied up with some legal for a while, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
He doesn't have the New York State Bar Association to help him out.
Exactly. And he's not the governor anymore, so the people of New York aren't paying for these lawyers. He has to pay for them with his own dime.
One other thing, too, we should also mention, he has no desire to run again. Thank the Lord Almighty for that in that regard. But let's move on to Two-Face, Johnny.
Yes.
Newsom, of course, facing a humongous recall, and I think the pressure is
on.
Getting...
Because here's the thing. Before you even read it, before we even put it up on the screen, this shows you the LA Times is a part of the criminal behavior that has been going on. This literal headline, and Matt, read it, but we'll put it on the screen and just read it. This shows you, if you know anything about the media and how they choose sides, this is a Democratic governor getting recalled by the citizens.
Yeah.
It's not political.
Mm-hmm.
The citizens are like, you didn't do a good job. We want you out.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens that the leader in the running to replace him is a Republican, and the LA Times puts this headline out.
The headline, and I love it because it says column, which isn't a column, it's an opinion. Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. You've been warned. That is probably the most pathetic, most disingenuous article headline.
That was written by a racist.
100%. That I have seen easily in the last 5-7 years. It's pathetically written, and really Erica Smith should be ashamed of herself for letting this go, to be honest.
And whoever her bosses are
let
for
this
even
go.
allowing allowing this headline.
Yeah. I mean, the arrogance and the gall. Just in the first sentence, Larry Elder smiled the smug smile of a black conservative who could very well be liberal California's next governor.
But okay, Larry Elder is a resident of California.
Yeah.
He is a very successful radio host.
Mm-hmm.
You can listen to Larry Elder at any time. You follow him on Instagram. You can follow him. You can his radio shows. I forget what network he was on. He's been publicly outspoken for many years of a conservative viewpoint.
Yeah.
You already know who Larry Elder is.
Yeah.
The problem is the people that don't are getting bombarded with lies. Because yes, he's a conservative, but I don't think he's an overtly conservative. He's not as right wing as DeSantis.
No. I would probably
at all. I don't think so at all. I think there's
right over here somewhere, and you've probably got.
He's probably center. He's probably center right.
Yeah, probably about right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't think if you wrote that about DeSantis, being as far right as he is, I could see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It might be a good piece.
Yeah.
But Larry Elder, he's a working man. Yeah. He's always kind of spoke of the working man. He does things on Instagram where he reads letters from people that are backing him. He's just trying to help communities.
Yeah.
He's always been trying to help. He has a very brass view on Black culture, but he's also a Black man and he's allowed to. I can't speak what he can speak.
Last time I checked, I think he's got enough gravitas to say if something's wrong within his community, he has every right to say it.
Yeah, I don't think he's as controversial as people think he is.
No.
And this article is just dog shit.
Oh, it's trash. It's absolute trash. I mean, to me, it's
lamestream media is what it is.
It really is. I mean,
and I never use that term, but that literally this article, that's exactly what it is.
It is lamestream. It is no question about it. I love this sentence too, Johnny. I'll just read this real quick. This is Erica Smith writing, quote, "I won't lie. Few things infuriate me more than watching a black person use willful blindness and cherry-picked facts to make overly simplistic arguments that whitewash the complex problems that come along with being black in America," end quote. I keep thinking
that's a racist comment.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't do anything but point color out.
Yeah.
And if people think that's intelligent, you're blowing my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's not intelligent at all.
She doesn't refute the so-called cherry-picked facts that Larry Elder is saying. There's no point-by-point analysis in the arguments that she lists out in her opinion piece.
I know exactly what she's going for. If you would like to know them, they're the fact that he does not speak about race. He speaks about individuality.
Yeah.
If you're not making it, you don't have the right to blame other people or the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's his major argument.
Issue. Yep.
You just don't. You don't have the right to.
That's the biggest issue. It really comes down to personal responsibility
and that's not one race. No. I think that actually him saying it's a cultural problem.
It is.
It's
you're talking a whole society issue. Yeah.
It's a cultural problem.
Yeah, I agree.
It's how we live in this world of TV media forced down your throat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you see that now in the coronavirus, really. I mean, it's all about, well, I've got to defer to these so-called experts over here to tell me what I can and cannot do with my own body and my own life. I'm thinking, really? I mean, you have personal responsibility. If you don't feel well, don't go in. If you feel well, go in. But I think the whole thing with, waivers and all that kind of stuff, we'll get to that. But, I mean, with Elder and this article, it's a piece of trash. I mean, to be perfectly honest, just a complete piece of trash.
Yeah, it just needs to come to light because it's just terrible. Like, God, it's New York Times. You're terrible.
And the LA Times.
Well, you've always been terrible.
You're terrible as well.
Terrible. Yeah. You're worse now.
Exactly.
Johnny, you're now Washington Post.
Yeah, exactly. Well, every once in a while there are gems that are there, which still blows my mind. It still blows my mind.
Maybe someone's messing with us because
Who knows?
I don't know. The post does put out some. You're right, gems at times.
Every once in a while you're kind of
but-
going like, well, wait a minute, what's going on?
But then they put out like 1,100 things that you're just like, did a kindergartner write that?
Exactly.
Hell, did
Oh my gosh, too crazy.
you get that from the pro crew school around the corner? You can't hire anybody?
Love it.
What the heck?
Johnny, topic 3, as we keep moving on here in episode
Yes.
47 of Two Noobs.
Matt's favorite.
I love this.
Yes.
CDC's the science versus actual science, right? So of course, we're following COVID pretty well. We've got the Delta variant. We got all this kind of stuff
Yeah, we kinda
happening
know what's
all
going
over the place. And yet, once in a blue moon, we run across a couple of different articles that I found was very interesting.
Very interesting. Very
But
interesting.
first, let's throw up this Washington Post piece real quick. How CDC data problems put the U.S. behind
I 100%
on the Delta
agree.
variant, which I 100% agree with. Again, with the Washington Post, what the heck?
Yeah,
Seriously?
exactly. Like that's the craziest thing. Like when you sent that article to me, I was like, I completely agree with that because they've been doing that for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know about and I read a lot of news. We have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about this until about a week and a half later because nobody covered it because the CDC didn't put it out as a guideline like, hey guys, watch out. They
Yeah.
didn't do that.
It really is. It's again another failing. We talked about the administrative state
Yeah.
earlier, right? I mean, this is another failing of the administrative state. So, real quick, the article talks about essentially Pfizer going to the U.S. government and saying, "Hey, look, our data here is showing that with the vaccine, it starts to wane after a while, and so we probably think of maybe doing a booster shot." And I'm thinking to myself, "Okay, that's a glorified flu shot now. It's a glorified annual flu shot. That is exactly."
Oh no,
I don't
totally.
know about you. So,
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. But it does not shock me that
No.
Pfizer would go to the CDC
Yeah.
because the CDC director is now on the board of Pfizer. Like we just learned that the other day.
Yep.
He just transitioned over to the board of Pfizer to make money off of what he
Yeah.
has been coaxing up for about a year. You can look that up.
John, I don't know about you. Real quick, tangent point. The moment that Moderna and Pfizer announced that they had 95% efficacy with
got a little
COVID,
weird.
that to me was like that ended the pandemic. Like we knew what, like the virus. We now know what this virus is. And one person, I remember I was having lunch with a couple of friends of mine yesterday, actually. And one of them told me, like, we're going to live with this now. Like, there's no, like, we're just going to have to live with this virus.
But I agree with that. It's always going to be around.
Yeah. Like, the flu is going to be around. And
Around.
COVID is going to be around.
Yeah. It's not killing people
Yeah.
at the rate that
That it
want
was
us to
forecasted.
think
Exactly.
they are. That's
Right.
what I meant to say. Thank you.
Exactly. But my whole point is, okay, now that we know that essentially we know what this virus is, we know that it mutates like all coronaviruses do,
Yeah.
and that there are certain levels of degrees
Yeah.
in terms of mildness to severity. Obviously,
Yeah.
the severe cases, seem to be happening more often than not. But there are milder cases that people recover from and all that kind of stuff. And it's like people have that with the flu. People have that with the common cold.
And that's the majority of what we're seeing.
That's what we're seeing.
And this is what like the New York Post is putting out. Like let's flip that Forbes piece because that Forbes piece is probably more damning. And this gets to both of us. You're vaccinated. I had COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, this piece is actually encompass everything that we've been talking about.
It's huge. It's a huge article. I think went under the radar in mid-August. Quote, despite spreading easily, Delta is uniquely weak against COVID-19 antibodies, study finds.
Yeah.
Shocking. Which is great news. You don't hear about this anymore, or you certainly didn't hear about it in any of the lamestream, but any of the mainstream press.
Yes.
It's shocking to see this, and it's terrific to see it as well. It basically just talks about the fact that if you've had COVID or if you've had a vaccine shot, which I have, and John, of course, has gone through it,
you're fine.
you have the antibodies in your system. Your body recognizes it, goes like, oh, wait a minute, I know what this is, fights it, gets rid of it. And the fact that, oh my God, but what does the media tell you? The media says this is the most contagious disease we've ever seen. And once you get it, you're going to go in the hospital and you're going to be in the ICU beds. And it's only a fraction.
Yeah.
It's only a small fraction of the cases that do that.
It's because the media is bullshit.
Yeah. This is good news. This is excellent news to see.
Fabulous.
That even though there are variants happening throughout, the antibodies are still there. The T cells are still activating, all that kind of stuff. Again, that means you also take personal responsibility for your own self, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Physically fit, walk around, eat right, all that kind of stuff.
And if you're sick, stay home. This is the one thing that I've learned from COVID more than anything, because I used to be a work. I didn't give a crap if I was sick. It was all about production. The one thing I learned from COVID is slow down for a minute. Mm-hmm. If you're not feeling well, spend a little time in bed and just get better.
Funny you should mention that, John, because the other day I was on a webinar hosted by Penn State Great Valley, and it was a terrific webinar on stress and the impacts that stress has, not only mentally, but physically and emotionally and spiritually. And the idea is, okay, how do you ultimately not fight against it, but cope, bounce back from it, and then you go through your swings and all that kind of stuff. It's important. Let's face it, highly stressful time right now, but really just taking the time, I think to your point, so well stated, you take the time to rest, you get nutrients, you keep hydrated. I think that's so important. Drinking water is so important. Water out there for the rest of the country.
Boston, it's water.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, it's water.
But it's huge, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that, we have to be.
Water is nice.
Yeah. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And, I think it's just, this is good news, like I said before, with the fact that even though this virus may continue to mutate and grow and whatever,
it is what it is.
Antibodies will beat it. Think of that. Antibodies will beat it whether you've had the vaccine shot or not. That's really, really important, I think.
And to be honest with you, just in reality, I think everybody already had it. Because
by the way,
there's no real reason to call it a pandemic if everybody didn't already get it.
If anything, I think it's an epidemic now.
Administrative state logic, by the way. That's, you can look that up. In the NIH will tell you the same thing. CDC will tell you the same. The WHO will tell you the same thing. Any normal scientist that understands the spread of it, everybody probably already had it maybe twice.
Mm-hmm. And it will continue to spread,
and you'll probably get it another 11 times. Like in your lifetime,
and so will the drugs. The drugs will continue to come out if you get therapy drugs. But in the meantime, continue to eat right, continue to exercise, keep walking, do whatever you have to do. Keep drinking water. All that kind of stuff.
Do what the UK started to do. Treat it like the flu.
Treat it like the flu. And for God's sakes, whatever you do, not wear these popular blue masks out there that are floating around.
This is an article that is absolutely important. This is from the Daily Mail, UK. This is, Matt, you sent this to me that I was like, oh, we got to put this up here because I actually have a blue mask in my glove compartment of my work truck in case.
You're chucking that out, aren't you?
Yeah, just in case it happens. You know what I mean? Just in case I didn't bring a mask.
Forget it or whatever.
Requires a mask. You know what I mean? I have one of those blue masks literally sitting in my glove compartment just in case someone needs one. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
You never know. I want to be prepared.
Yep.
And when you said that to me, I laughed because it was hanging out of my it's not even sanitary. I probably shouldn't even wear it. It's been in there for like 9 months.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is amazing from the UK Daily Mail. Popular blue surgical face masks do not stop people from being infected with COVID. In fact, as you read through the article, the study from the University of Waterloo found that it was only 10% effective against catching COVID. Or preventing you from catching COVID, I should say.
I think we just leave that right there.
Yeah, exactly. Don't wear those types of masks. They're not meant for you to wear outside. I wore them one time at my church's Bible study, John. It felt like I was doing this, breathing through a piece of paper.
I know. Yeah, I know.
And I'm thinking, are you kidding me with that? It's like, what the heck? No, don't do that.
That's in the show notes. You can actually look at the entire study. That's also in the article. It's highlighted. I can't with that. Like I can't. Like I have no real issue with people wearing masks at all.
But don't wear those.
I don't think I'm not judgmental at all. I do not wear if I have to. I mean, literally have to. Like physically forced to, I will. I'm not like that much of a jerk. But I'm not going backwards, so I'm fine. I'm not doing it.
Yep.
I actually follow a lot of people on TikTok that aren't doing it either. It cracks me up. It's like one of the funniest movements I've seen in a while.
That's awesome.
Cracks me up. But let's get out of this dirty COVID talk because I'm done with it.
So now all of the bad news is done. Let's talk some great news. John and I are huge wrestling fans.
Yes.
Topic 4: CM Punk, Phil Brooks makes a huge return to All Elite Wrestling, AEW, on Friday of last week, I believe.
Yes. Saw it live on TV in a hotel room, by the way.
John,
it was awesome.
Your thoughts, like immediate thoughts on this. Go for it.
So I'm a huge wrestling fan. Edge is my favorite wrestler, just so everybody can like literally my favorite wrestler. And then there's Seth Rollins, but we'll just Edge is great.
Yep.
When Edge came back, I was in a hotel room in Houston watching the Royal Rumble on my phone. Just sitting in a chair, like I was so excited for the Royal Rumble. I love major pay-per-views, just so people that don't know me.
Yeah.
Literally, when Edge came out, that was the loudest pop I think I ever heard. I even popped, like in my chair alone, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I geeked out for like a week. My wife didn't even know what was wrong with me for like a week. I was like, Edge came back, and she was like, Edge, like she's not in the wrestling like I am. She now is more in the wrestling, but had no idea who Edge was at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that dude you watch all the time. She knew him as Adam Copeland, the Vikings, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I freaked out for about a week. I'm still not sure it's real with CM Punk.
Yeah.
That pop was the loudest. That was like Edge times 460,000.
The sound that comes out of Chicago whenever it doesn't matter where it is. United Center, Rosemont Horizon.
It's the best wrestling city next to Philly.
Yeah.
Like I think Philly's the second best.
Yeah.
Because they give respect to guys like Shinsuke Nakamura and guys like CM Punk. Like they know how to boo Roman. Yeah. There's only a couple good play. If you know how to boo Roman, you're a good town.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
And Chicago is number one at that.
The emotion that you saw from people, everything, and I thought AEW did a great job capturing that because you had everything from the guy that was just so overjoyed, oh my God, he's here, he's coming, and then you have guys that are openly weeping.
And I'm not a fan of their production, and I'll say like AEW has a long way to go to become WWE. Production wise, I'm not talking about like talent wise. You know, I'm not saying talent.
The way they shoot, it's different, no question.
They are. I mean, WWE's been doing it forever.
Ever, yes.
Like they're like, but for the production value AEW has, they did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I can't imagine Jim Ross not saying, "Hey, look, we got to shoot this. We got to shoot," because he's been in the big arenas, of course, throughout his entire career. So it's like, okay, we got to shoot this here, this here, this here, this here. He's probably giving them all kinds of pointers left and right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I would think so. But let's talk about like the impact that CM Punk has had. I mean, for God's sakes, you're talking about a guy a humongous public divorce with WWE.
Yeah, 7 years.
2014. Basically was sick and tired of working for the company. Basically was being grounded down into a paste.
Well, so he says. I don't think it was as deep as he was making it.
But clearly though, right. Okay,
he's a professional wrestler.
He is a professional wrestler, right.
He knows how
to sell it. Exactly. Right.
How do you sell CM Punk t-shirts after you leave WWE? You make WWE look like Darth Vader.
Exactly.
I get. That's why I like him so much, because I think I don't think he's ever been out of character. I think he's an old school. I think he's an old school kayfabe gunslinger, like Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, for people that don't know.
Yep.
Those guys are the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega.
Yep.
Chris Jericho. They're all guys that love the business deeply, and Punk's just one of them. So I don't know if it's real or I'm sure WWE sucks. It's a big corporate entity. Of course, it sucks like Walmart. I get it.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't think he ever. I think he's the one who kind of brought kayfabe back, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think he's a definite. I mean, the needle moving, just from the industries. This is a huge, I think, for the entire wrestling world. It's going to change a humongous landscape. Now, whether or not AEW is ever going to overtake WWE,
it doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter at the end of the day. Exactly.
Like you were saying,
in competition with WWE, to be perfectly honest.
You were shocked when I told you this. Like, me and my wife are anti-cable.
Yeah.
Like, literally anti-cable. Like, we don't have cable. Like, we watch DVDs or we got streaming stuff. We got yeah. I think we watch TwoNoobsTalking. Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, I got something. I stream something every once in a while. I don't even know what it is. I don't even think I have Hulu. But we were talking about it because she was like, "Well, should we get Hulu so you can watch it?" And I was like, wow. "Well, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it after the fact. I want to watch it live." So she's like, "So you want to get cable?" And I was like, "No, because I hate cable."
Yeah, so you're kind of conflicted a little bit. Yeah.
But if I want to watch Dynamite and I want to watch CM Punk, I might need cable. And like we talked about.
And so you're kind of debating that, sure.
We're not decided. But that was literally a conversation we had, which is funny because both of us are very very anti-cable. We think it's just they overcharge you for nothing, and you watch dumb stuff after a while because you're bored.
Exactly.
That's what cable is. But he's that kind of needle mover. Someone that's so anti-cable was like, "Oh man, Punk's back. Okay.
Maybe
I might need to watch him on TV."
Heck, I mean, you and I, of course, we've had Tom Holzerman on the podcast before, and Tom,
great human being,
great guy.
Great human being. Love that guy.
He and I, we get a conversation, and we're at the Torn ACL Fantasy Draft last Saturday. He openly said, "I'm a wrestling fan again.
Yep.
I've rediscovered my love for wrestling because of CM Punk."
That's awesome.
I mean, it's just
wait till Bryan Danielson comes to AEW.
Well, here's the question I want to ask you. Let's geek out a little bit here. His opening match, All Out, a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
Darby Allin, and Darby Allin is on fire. I mean, my God, he is like, he's putting him over huge. Of course, CM Punk was putting Darby Allin over huge. Who do you think wins that match? It's in Chicago. Who do you think wins it?
Punk's got to lose.
Yeah,
Punk has to lose
in his hometown.
Yeah, you have to
put the young kid over.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. That's wrestling. You don't win in your hometown. Drew Gulak. How do you know how many times Drew Gulak lost in Philly? You know what I mean? Like, you have to. Yeah, I love Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak should be WWE champion. No joke. That good at what he does.
Yeah.
He can't buy a win in your. You can't. It's like I said. He's bringing kayfabe back. I don't think Punk would want to go over.
That's interesting.
I think maybe that is the.
Because I could see a Darby Allin win, but a heel move by Allin.
Or Sting.
Yeah. But I mean, Sting's never really been a heel, to be perfectly honest, in his career.
Yeah, but
he's been the anti-hero. But
there's a heel turn for everybody, and that quote Vincent Kennedy McMahon. There's a heel turn for everybody, which I totally agree with.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm thinking fantasy booking wise, I could definitely see a Darby Allin win.
Yeah. I think he has.
But my mind is thinking, okay, the guy is, he's has that perfect.
That's the point. That's the
light
point.
to dark, right? It's kind of like,
It's the point. It's the absolute point.
It's interesting, yeah.
You build stars.
One of the last question I would have for you, Johnny, in his promo, CM Punk was saying like a few scores to settle in the locker room. Does he go after Colt?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Moxley's one.
Moxley's gonna be another. Yeah.
Moxley's got to be one, definitely. For the WWE stuff, brought the Shield in. Like you can totally run that. Kind of gave you your blah 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 blah.
Kind of gave you your intro. Yeah, exactly.
I think Malachi Black.
Oh.
Character. They just
that program with Cody though has to end, I would think, right?
Yes, but what after that? Like you could totally do a quick run with them because they're both strikers. They're both phenomenal
workers.
Phenomenal workers, and they get it. Like those two dudes get it. Like Cody's a better wrestler because of Malachi Black.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Tom hates Cody. I respect Cody because he's willing to throw his hat in the ring. No, he's not the best worker. He's not the best. I know I'll get heat for that too. He's not the best at anything, but he's the best at getting what wrestling is. Like he gets wrestling.
Like he gets wrestling. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's the son of Cody Rhodes. Like you would have to understand what wrestling is.
Do you think potential for Omega CM Punk down the road? Or
you would have to. I don't like Omega.
That would be a match you would want to see, I would think, right?
It's the marquee matchup. Like I like Omega's style.
Yeah.
I like Omega's ability to talk.
Yeah, he's getting.
I just don't
like better his promos.
His full package sucks.
Yeah.
He's always needed guys like Jericho. To kind of create. Even go back to his New Japan stuff with Ibushi.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? The Rainmaker. I can't remember his name.
Oh.
Okada.
Sorry. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, like he does well with superstars.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think he holds his own very well.
Individually. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see star power with that, but that's also like he's also probably one of the best guys in the ring ever.
Yeah.
He's up what Moxley said about him. You're the Rembrandt. Like he totally is.
He really is.
Rembrandt of wrestling.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I don't like his whole package, but when you get him like in the ring,
when you get him in that ring, oh my god.
Yeah, you can't. There's nobody.
I think you even had a fantasy booking in your mind. You wanted like Seth against Omega.
Seth Rollins, Kenny Omega would be the greatest thing you would ever see. Finn Balor, Kenny Omega would be the greatest.
You'd ever see.
Guys that can work at that level.
Mm-hmm.
That Riddle even could. Riddle works at that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
AJ works at that level. Those kind of guys. Yeah, those kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Omega's at in the ring. I just like Riddle. Omega doesn't have that it factor.
Mm-hmm.
He has everything.
But his work rate, and I think that's another good question. Real quick tangent before we move on. Do you think the work rate is what's causing the pops now in wrestling,
Probably.
or is it more of the storytelling side of things?
No, I don't think storytelling isn't.
Because I'm thinking of like the Hangman story right now in AEW.
It's a great. That's a great
story. Long-term story.
We're really missing those long-term. The Roman story is extremely long-term too. If you want to look at actual long-term storytelling, the Roman head of the table, Brock coming back, getting pulled from SmackDown.
All is going to be like, okay.
What a work is that?
Mm-hmm.
What a work is they literally announce, because WWE doesn't announce anything.
Yeah.
You know it's a work when they announce it. He's pulled from SummerSlam to save Roman's ass. Come on. Like,
exactly.
Long-term storytelling, dude. He's going to beat Brock. I've always said it's going to be this way. I always said this. He's going to beat all local talent, which is Edge, Balor, Bryant, right? Then he's going to go on to the top three. He's going to do Cena, Brock, Rock. That's how they're going to get to WrestleMania.
That's how they're doing WrestleMania.
The only way to tell that story.
Interesting. Yeah. But I guess the larger question, John, do you think like people, wrestling fans in general, do they appreciate the work rate that gives them the more pop?
It's to each individual fan.
It's okay.
I think some wrestling fans, like I, enjoy the matches. But I also kind of like the surprises.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just want, like, they like Hangman just because you were talking about the Hangman.
The long-term story.
Omega, the long-term storytelling with Roman and Brock. I'd rather watch Omega and Hangman than I would Roman and Brock. but I respect both of them the same because they're doing such a great long-term story.
Nice.
I like long-term storytelling. I hate short-term storytelling.
Mm-hmm. The feuds that kind of go nowhere and you're kind of done after a couple
Brody
months.
Lee thing coming into the Dark Order. Great long-term storytelling. AEW is great at that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't have the attention span to waste their time on that.
And that's the thing. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be fascinating.
I don't have cable, so I can't watch long-term storytelling. Like we said.
That may change. Who knows? Yes, that might change.
You never know.
Well, let's move on real quick to our final topic before we hit the happy. Topic 5. Yep. And we're talking a little ERA, earned run average.
This is interesting. My son sent me this on Instagram, and he wanted my opinion on it. And I was like, hey, I think I want to run this on the podcast with Matt, because Matt's a huge baseball fan. And he popped because he was like, oh, that's awesome, like that you would do that. So
yeah, so we found this. This is a huge. This graph here, audio listeners here. This comes from MLB Fact Check on Instagram, and again, we'll have the link in our show notes for you.
Absolutely, check it out because it's actually really well done.
It's really amazing. Yeah, and it was a fascinating article or fascinating couple of posts here. But basically, what we're looking at is essentially like sports analytics, really to the ninth power here. Basically, the ERA has been the long-term earned run average, right? You're talking, okay, that's earned runs given up over 9 innings, and it's always been used as this. And so what you're seeing on screen is basically a graph where you have on your vertical axis something called the root mean square error, I should say, and it basically is used to predict earned run average in the next season. So it's basically like to be able to track a pitcher's performances over like a certain number of years, that kind of a deal. And
you're talking about like Clemens, where he was like 2.31, 2.32, 2.34.
Exactly.
Like being a Hall of Famer like him, you could easily track him over the first 10 years.
And so what this MLB Fact Check was doing on Instagram was coming up with essentially like 4 different analytic tools to essentially improve upon ERA. One of them I know of, but I'm not fully familiar. Fielding independent pitching. It basically measures a pitcher's performance using 3 true outcomes: number of strikeouts, home runs given up, and walks. And that has been relatively new in the game, and that is basically highlighted by that orange line. So as you can see, there's a blue line that has the root mean square error like a little bit higher than all of the others.
Yes.
Fielding independent pitching is in the orange, and that's kind of like in between. And it's obviously significantly lower than ERA, John. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but that's kind of
it makes absolute sense.
Yep.
Having this one, because what are the 3 things that the pitcher commands during a game? Strikeouts, home runs, and walks. That's independent from the fielders. And that is key for pitching, because ERA relies on the fielding as a part of the pitching. So if you're trying to get a pure pitching
stat,
I totally agree with it.
Yeah. That's a key point. I'm glad you said that, John. That's great. That's a great point you just made, because you're right. ERA is so dependent on whether or not a fielder makes an error or not. And essentially, like if an error occurs, it lowers the ERA for the pitcher, essentially, because they don't get counted for that earned run. That kind of a deal. But
and there's also a thing of a hitter like okay, Gene Segura last night. Let's just take the Phillies game, right?
Yep.
Takes a half hack swing and wins a baseball game, right?
Yeah.
Is that if the fielder could have, let's just say the fielder was a little bit closer, right? And he dove and he missed it and they gave him an error, right? That would then affect the pitcher, but it shouldn't affect the pitcher, because in this, like, that's not going to affect the pitcher that he fought something off and it fell in. That's a different, like, you need different statistics for those things.
Exactly. And I think this is what this is all planning to come in here. So the next one that we see on screen is the XFIP. Yes. That is the expected fielding independent pitching. So basically what this does is it measures a pitcher's performance using strikeouts, fly balls and walks. Now you're thinking, okay, fly balls. Well, it's not home runs.
Yes.
That's different.
Yes.
You're basically keeping the ball in the yard when the ball is hit. It basically excludes ground ball hits. So think about that. It's like you're controlling the fly balls, and again, the xFIP, you can barely see it, but there's a yellow line in there. As you can see, it's lower than the regular FIP that I was referring to as well.
Yes.
And then it could
because you're not counting home runs.
Exactly. You're counting fly balls, and there's also a percentage that works in the number of fly balls total divided by the number of home runs. You get a percentage. So think about that. Or it could be the opposite way. I'm not quite sure.
I think you were right.
Home runs over fly ball percentage. So that's the figuring that whole thing out, because that's basically, it says here in the post, I'm reading right from it. Home runs over fly ball percentage is important because pitchers can't control which fly balls are home runs and which ones are outs.
That's true.
So that's a very interesting point.
That's like the truest statement I think I've ever heard from baseball.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You can't.
Then the next one is Sierra, Skill Interactive ERA. And so what this does is it measures a pitcher's performance using 4 outcomes: strikeouts, walks, fly balls, and ground balls.
I actually like this one. This is my favorite one.
This is interesting. It still heavily values strikeouts and walks as it should, but ground balls and fly balls are also considered. What we know is that ground balls go for hits more often than fly balls, which makes sense. You put the ball in play, bouncing ball, base hit.
I agree.
But fly balls go for extra bases more often. Ground balls are also converted into outs more often for pitchers who consistently allow a lot of ground balls.
And just for Phillies fans, this skilled interactive ERA would have made Roy Halladay the greatest pitcher of all time,
100%.
which he actually is. So this
would have made Jeremy Moyer a greater pitcher.
Exactly. It would make these guys that didn't get that you would get the argument from the old school, like, oh, well, they pitched in the American League. This would tighten up the American League and the National League. So the numbers would be lower.
Yep.
And you would actually learn a little bit from how this works out. The ERA is just a very fly by the seat of the pants kind of thing, as you say,
and very simple. Very simple.
Very simple.
Yeah,
very simple. It's like bowling average.
Gives it a little bit more.
The same thing. It's score to amount of times you did it. Basically, it's a bowling average is what the ERA is. It's a very simplistic way to do it.
Very.
I like the Sierra. It makes more sense.
I think it does too. I think of all of them so far, and then of course there's predictive classified run average,
and that's why I'm out immediately, because predictive is not something sports should be.
Exactly. It's essentially heavily dependent on strikeouts and walks due to a batter's barrel placement. So basically, think of it: pitcher throws the ball.
No.
Right, and it's like it's solely dependent on the batter and where he places the barrel of the bat. Barrel the bat on the ball. Sorry, lost me. Yeah. They're saying that the PCRA is lower than the Sierra, which I disagree. Because you can't predict.
I mean, you could technically that, but you would lose every fan while doing that.
100%.
I mean, I get it. I'll geek out about that. That's like with the barrel placement, you know what I mean, and walks in there. But the Sierra seems to make the most sense. So yeah, I would totally get rid of the ERA and put the Sierra in there.
Put the Sierra in there. Yeah, I think I would tend to agree with you on that, John. I think the fielding independent pitching is interesting because I've seen that kind of like populated in, like if you go into Game Changer, it's a very popular like baseball and scoring app. I use it sometimes whenever I watch a Phillies game. I'll score the game or whatever. Nice. It's great. It's very intuitive. But they have something like fielding independent pitching. I'm thinking like, what is that? And then I, of course, with this MLB fact check posting on Instagram, it's like, oh, that's what it is. It's like it, measures this and that and this.
Fun to teach analytics.
It's like, okay. I mean, it breaks down so many different things, of course, on that thing. But I would tend to agree with you. I think the Sierra is probably the best of the of all of the the analytic tools now that are out there in baseball.
Yeah, I think it's definitely far better than the ERA. Yeah. I think that was the whole point of the thing, because that was the question that was posed.
Exactly.
So yeah,
in order to predict.
Yeah, we should definitely make that change. I feel that way.
Let's do it. Let's check it off. Why not?
There we
go.
We're in charge.
We finally have reached our happy, Johnny, and this is a great story that you found. And I'm just going to go ahead.
Always gives me credit. I don't understand.
I mean, you just pull them out. I don't know where you pull them out from, but you pull them out. You know,
The world, because the world isn't as bad as we think it is.
Exactly. All right, so here we go. I'm going to just go ahead and just play this clip.
Today, 97-year-old Martin Adler lives with his wife in Boca Raton. He doesn't spend much time talking about the years he spent fighting Nazis and fascists in Italy. But today, he shared a special story with me.
He was my buddy.
Martin Adler was just 19 years old when he was ordered to go house to house searching for enemy soldiers. He remembers tension and fear, walking through unfamiliar buildings, alert to the slightest movement or sound. In one home, Martin saw blankets moving and got ready to shoot.
You don't think, you just react.
But then, a miracle. A brave woman ran out and stopped Martin before he could pull the trigger.
The mother came screaming out, "Bambini, bambini, babies, babies." That's when we found that there were children in straw baskets hiding from us.
To show the children that he was friendly, Martin hugged them and posed for this picture, his happiest memory of the war. He says he still thinks of the children often, and just last weekend, with the help of social media, Martin's family tracked down those kids, who now live happily not far from the place where Martin found them that day back in 1944. Today, we shared a special video of those 3 kids with Martin. They're now all grown up with kids of their own, and he was deeply moved, as you might imagine. I'm going to share his full story with you tonight on CBS 12 News at 11. For CBS 12 News.
Too bad we're not going to see that whole thing, but
Yeah, I know. That whole thing would have been awesome.
that whole thing would have been awesome. That is a great story.
Yeah, good fun.
Can you imagine going through that and you have, it's just like, wow.
I loved it. It's like a threefold story. It's like he went through it, right? He fought for the country. He did what he needed to do, and then, it's always been a wonder of his life, and his daughter, tries to seek them out because this is something he's always wondered. Like, I wonder how they were doing.
No doubt.
And they reunite them. That is really just good.
What was equally, all the amidst of all the chaos in Afghanistan, John, one of the best photos I've ever seen out of that was a woman, an Afghan woman, giving her baby to an American soldier.
Yep.
Those kinds of stories, I think,
Yeah.
not even in the midst of all the chaos and all that stuff, it's so great to see just the sacrifice that here, I can't, I don't know what's going to happen to me tomorrow. Can you help? And the soldier is there. And that's what they always do. The American soldier does that. They not only kill the enemy, but they save those that have been oppressed for years.
Absolutely.
So it's a great note to end on for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Johnny, this was great. Episode 47 of Two Noobs Talking is done. As always, man, let's hit them with the socials. And where can people find us? Let's do it.
We are on Facebook, TikTok, Clapper, and Instagram for short videos. Well, TikTok a little longer videos that lead us.
Love it. Yeah, that takes us to our YouTube page. Of course, you can like, share, and subscribe. Two Noobs Talking Podcast is our channel name. So feel free to like and share our videos, and definitely hit that subscribe button, I should say.
Yes.
Definitely on the audio side, though, Johnny.
We are on Apple Podcasts very proudly. Google Podcasts, Google Chrome. We are Googleable. We're on a bunch of stuff. But Spotify sucks. That's all I have for that.
That's terrible. Yeah. And of course, our show notes. Show notes can be found at twonoobstalking.wordpress.com, of course. Yep. And if you enter in your email address, you can hit that subscribe button there, and the show notes show up in your inbox the very next day. Links to all the articles we shared are all in there.
Yeah.
Among other
all of them.
things.
I'm looking at them right now on my phone.
There you go.
All
Damn.
Johnny.
All of 47 is.
I'm gonna throw them in the trash, but I have them digitally.
Don't throw the phone in the trash. Don't do that. But 47's in the can, brother. Got anything final to say?
We'll see at 48. It's been stressful.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Talk to you all next week, guys. Take care.
This country was founded by geniuses. but it's being run by a bunch of idiots. Why do the members of the United States Senate continue to double down on stupid?